is going to train and wave a magic wand, and now Texas police, New York police are suddenly allowed to grab your genitals and go down your pants, and now they're changing the definition of reasonable suspicion to, well, you're at a public place, or we just feel like it. I mean, this is really the end of our common law, the end of basic liberty, and it's the same thing that British citizens went to war with the King of England over, because he was stomping on their rights and doing the exact same type of garbage.
Okay, now here's the deal. What do we do to stop it? Well, it's real simple, but no one's addressing the issue. What people don't understand is we've become this follow orders, do as you're told, don't make waves, the nail that sticks up, get the hammer, keep your mouth shut, and they'll get somebody else. They won't bother you. You'll be able to go on your way. What you have to understand is that is when you look at the mechanism as a whole. You cannot look at the TSA as this big machine with the federal government that has all this power. The way you have to look at it is you don't fight City Hall. You fight the individual in City Hall that you're going after. And what you do is any TSA agent that violates your constitutional rights, such as the groping and the Fourth Amendment stuff and all that sort of thing, you file on them. You sue them personally under 42 U.S.C. 1983. That makes them personally, their government position cannot protect them in a 1983 lawsuit.
Well, you know as well as I, police have authority to make arrests, to do all those things, because they are making a citizen's arrest. And in the incorporated city, under state law, the people are hiring you to be designated citizens with special training and weapons, but hired by us to serve, to go out, and it's the same power of citizen's arrest that does that. As soon as an officer steps out of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, they no longer have immunity. Citizens have immunity to shoot a robber coming in their house, just like a cop has the immunity to shoot a robber if he comes to a house and catches him in it and the robber tries something. So it's the same power. They're trying to train us that we don't have that power, or they're trying to tell us that out-of-control police are above the law, or TSA are above the law, but as soon as they step out of the Constitution, they're wide open.
Well, that's exactly right. And 20 years ago, I had to go to in-service at the academy one day. I went in, and a lawyer was there talking to us about 1983 lawsuits, because they were starting to occur around the country. I had never even heard about it. And basically it was, if we stepped outside of our privileges given us as law enforcement officers by the Constitution and given to the citizens by the Constitution, if we violated their civil rights, whether it's the Fourth Amendment or whatever, if we became then personally responsible and were not under the protection of the department. And on top of that, you can add vicarious liability. Vicarious liability says, I'm not only going to sue you, I'm going to sue your boss and your boss's boss and your boss's boss individually and go after your bank accounts, your pensions, your houses, and everything, and you can't be protected.
And this is a big secret. Like Ventura is personally suing, I was about to say Reno, same lady, different time, Napolitano, Mr. Napolitano. Sorry, Mr. Maddow. I'm sorry, Janet Napolitano. I get them all confused, but the point is they are going after her, and even if they in their kangaroo court beat it, you know what cops say: you beat the rap, you can't beat the ride.
Yeah, well, when you start saying vicarious liability, and that I'm not only going to sue you, son, I'm going to sue your boss and your boss's boss, and here it is, a 1983 lawsuit. They know what that is. If they don't, they'll have somebody tell them what it is, and they're going to back off real quick, because right then they become personally responsible. They don't hide in the crowd anymore. And once they become personally responsible, and it's their bank account, their pension, and their job, you know what their bosses are going to say? They're going to say, hey, we don't, he was working out of bounds. He or she were on their own. But the problem with that is a vicarious liability lawsuit says failure to properly supervise, failure to properly train. And that does not let the boss off the hook at that point.
Well, I was a few years ago protesting Rick Perry, and an Austin police commander came over with riot cops getting dressed. We were on the sidewalk, not blocking anything, and he said, I'm going to arrest you if you don't leave. And I said, well, Austin's lost lawsuits over this. And he said, I don't care. And this is on video. And I said, well, listen, I'm going to sue you personally. And I said, and this went on. He said, I'm still going to arrest you. And I said, you go ahead. I'm in the right. You're in the wrong. Why on earth would you want to violate the First Amendment that protects you and your family? And he finally went away. But, I mean, cops just need to know the Bill of Rights and Constitution is there to protect them as well as everybody else.
Well, the problem is there's a lot of departments, especially your smaller ones, they get very little training on that. You know, they get a little bit of constitutional law when they go through the academy, and after that, except for once in a while at in-service, they really don't get it reinforced. They're so busy with their nose in the municipal code and the state statutes that they don't pay any attention to the federal law. They don't pay attention to the constitutional law. You know, when Jack McLam was traveling all around, passing out pocket constitutions and lecturing on that to police officers around the country, it was like he had a whole bunch of brand new rookies that didn't know any of that existed. So it's all in education and training and supervision. And if they don't get that, then that's what you're going to run into. And it's really bad in the rural areas and the small towns and the sheriff's departments.
We've only got one more segment coming up, and there's so many issues I want to get into you. Colonel Craig Roberts, RifleWarrior.com. I know you had a bunch of best-selling books, but